Vehicles and coverage selection.
Monday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We will break down the absolute latest in the ongoing tariff battles as we approach another deadline. Plus, continuing revelation surrounding Russia and the disinformation campaign. What is the impact of that? We will continue to break that down. All that and more, we'll break it down for you on the Monday edition of Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
My husband had a gun. Him and his friends would go shooting. When he stored the gun, he didn't know. In a million years, we never thought that Emily could. There's a hole in our family that can never, ever be filled.
65 Americans a day die by gun suicide. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn more at infamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
And we welcome you to the show on a beautiful Saturday morning. We'll feel right along with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden. And Mark, great to see you on a Saturday like today.
Oh, it's so nice outside.
Just gorgeous weather.
Yeah, it's like great. 1st of August, and we don't even hit 90 degrees.
No,
Can't beat it.
We're close. We're definitely flirting with the 90s, but you look at the average temperature down through the years, and we've actually stayed just a little below average, which has been nice.
Yeah, very nice, very nice. Especially when we haven't even hit 100 this year.
Yeah.
It could happen in August, absolutely, but kind of unusual for us to just kind of hit 95 for our highs lately. So it's great.
Now we just could use a little rain.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to be in the forecast, but that's, of course, some of the things we'll talk about today. I know a lot of people talking about water and how to take care of the lawn and the garden and everything else, but gardens are in full production
growing
mode.
Like crazy. Growing like crazy. And they like the consistent temperatures. So high 80s, low 90s, that's like perfect for garden growing, because most of your summer vegetables, all your vines, and all the fruiting crops, they like it to be like
nice and
to
warm
90
like
degrees. Yeah, not too hot, not too cold. It's just right. So my peppers are just going crazy right now. And we're starting to pick tomatoes like mad too. Yeah. Tomatoes are going nuts. We did harvest some of our first purple tomatoes the other day. So
this was the new brand that you're trying.
Right. The one that's called the purple tomato. And we harvested a bunch the other day, and interesting. Yeah, they're very, very interesting flavor, and they are purple all the way through. Yeah, so absolutely purple.
Now, these were the seeds that came over from. Were they from another country?
They are actually from the UK. Yeah. So they're from the UK, and they are genetically modified. We only had a few. We only had just like a handful. So
just to try them.
I just doled those out to a few people here and there to try them. Quite interesting. My plants are gigantic. Like they're 6 feet tall.
How did the taste compare to, say, a regular big boy tomato?
That is a great question, because I have not tasted them.
They look really cool.
I'll try them at some point. I'm not a huge fresh tomato fan, so I'm not like, I had to be the first one to try it. No, I let all my kids try them first. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I shared instead of consumed. But I will try them at some point. So.
Now, one of the things that we're noticing this year is that one other, I guess it was a neighbor or someone mentioned it to me this week. They have a lot of tomatoes on their vines, but they're still green. They're not ripening up.
Right.
And so definitely something we can talk about today is what you can do to get those
them to ripen,
to start to ripen.
Yep, because it's that time of year where they're really producing, but for some people, they're just kind of staying green. So yes, there's definitely some things we can do to get those tomatoes to ripen up.
Okay.
Through August and September.
Yeah.
So for the next 2 months, we're gonna be working on that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, phone lines are open, and we are looking for your calls. If you have a question, comment for Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden, phone lines are 753-5868. That's 753-KVNU. So, Mark, before we start getting into the gardening and lawns, this weekend at Anderson Seed and Garden, what's going to be going on?
We decided to start our cash sale early because the weather has been a little less cooperative for some people to get out there and do some planting. So we thought we'd start our cash sale early. So right now, all of our trees and shrubs and vines and evergreens and fruit trees and flowering trees, they're all 25% off right now. So 25% off. But if you pay with cash, you get an extra 10% off.
Okay.
Yeah. So with a cash purchase on any of our nursery stock, you get an extra 10. And so cash means cash.
Yeah.
That means
bills.
like green bills, with presidents on them. Not a debit card, not a check, absolutely not a credit card. So it does cost us to run all those other methods of payment.
Yeah.
And so if we do cash, then we can give that extra discount. So 10% extra off of our trees and shrubs and evergreens and vines and flowering trees, extra 10% off of 25% when you pay with cash.
Okay.
Yeah, great deal. And then compost tea, we are still brewing compost tea like crazy, but it's kind of getting towards the end of the season. So we're starting to run low on supplies. We've actually had tons of people this year using it, just tons of people. And they all keep coming back for more. So it must be working.
Yes, that's the thing.
That's a great sign.
It works.
It's like when you see the customers consistently coming in and getting more compost tea, then you know it's working because they're just coming back and coming back and coming back for more. I would suspect maybe we should have enough to get through next weekend and probably to the weekend after that. But I think that's what we've got on our calendar even is like that second, not the second, but the third weekend, full weekend in August is when we're probably going to run out. So I would say around the 14th to the 16th of this month, we're probably going to run out of compost.
Be out.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we're getting close, but it appears that it has been a big hit again this year, and everybody's plants are responding accordingly to the compost tea. Yeah, they're going crazy. So.
Well, I know one of the things that we found is that using, some additives, mycorrhiza. I've become just a huge fan of mycorrhiza.
Yeah, the big
and with the apricot tree that we planted the first of this season, seeing that now it's almost doubled in height. Yeah. Because we just got it as it was a bare root.
Right.
And
that's probably like 5 feet maybe when you planted it. Yeah, but they'll just they'll just go crazy.
It's just been amazing. So
go crazy.
Definitely great to use on your plants is that mycorrhiza, the compost tea.
Yeah.
It's just like it's Red Bull for vegetables and trees.
It really does make them go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. So great if we could have some phone calls. It's nice to get those questions that come in. I have had a lot of people coming in and asking various questions. And the one that we're starting to see a lot of is blossom end rot on tomatoes.
On tomatoes?
Yeah, so we're starting to see blossom end rot on tomatoes and peppers and squashes. And so the one thing that we recommend to prevent that is calcium nitrate. And so calcium nitrate is a liquid or a granulated fertilizer. It is a nitrogen that is has like piggybacked calcium on it. And for most plants that are struggling with blossom end rot, where you've got this damage on the bottom of the fruit, it's a lack of calcium inside the plant. And calcium, our natural source of calcium, because our soil has a lot of calcium in it already, it doesn't move very fast. It's really slow, and it's not as mobile inside the plant. So once the plant picks it up, it takes forever for it to spread through the plant and get all the way out to the end of the fruit. And so it doesn't quite get there, and it leaves this damaged spot on the bottom of the fruit. And it can affect tomatoes, it can affect peppers, and it can affect squashes for sure. Sometimes we'll see it on cucumbers even, but the squash family, so pumpkins and had somebody in the other day, their zucchinis, just like the ends were all just like brown on.
Yeah.
And that's what that calcium deficiency will do. So calcium nitrate or calcium chloride, I've got them in liquid forms, and you could actually like water the plants with it so they can pick it up through the root system. But you want to get it all over the leaves because it'll absorb it in through the leaves. And once it absorbs it in through the leaves, this type of calcium is very mobile in the plant. And so it moves very, very quickly. And, you were mentioning to start the show off with, how do we get our tomatoes to ripen up? Calcium is one of those ways. So calcium inside the plant in an available form and a readily available form helps the plant set more fruit. So you get more fruit set, but it'll also ripen the fruit up faster. And so calcium really, really helps with that. So even though my plants don't show any signs of blossom end rot, I still am hitting them with a little bit of calcium every week or two just to keep that source available to them, and it will get the fruit to ripen up a lot faster. So all of a sudden your tomatoes will just like all start to ripen because they've got that source of calcium there. So that really does help with that. But the calcium nitrate, I've got it, like I said, in a liquid form, and since it's got the nitrogen on there, the nitrogen, of course, greens up your plant, makes it grow, but the calcium is piggybacked on the nitrogen. And since the nitrogen moves very, very quickly through the plant, it pulls the calcium right along with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a really neat combination, and most commercial tomato growers use that to prevent the blossom end rot. Yeah. So it works really, really well, and it's fairly inexpensive too. It's nice because it's a great fertilizer for all your fruiting plants, but it's not as expensive as other varieties. Yeah. And I've been using it on my corn too. So what I realized this year is that we did some construction last year, and we put some infrastructure in for a new house that's going to go into our property where my parents' house is. And that's where my garden is. And they had to dig through the garden. So they dug a big section out of the garden, and then they put a drain field in there as well too. So for stormwater, collection and stuff, and then put it back. Well, it's way rockier than my garden used to be, which is disappointing because there's a lot more rocks than there used to be. But I planted the corn right in that area, and it's just not growing as fast or as tall as it should. And I'm concerned about it's been depleted of nitrogen. So even though I've fertilized it 3 times with nitrogen, it's still only about 2/3 of the height that it ought to be. So I'm a little bit worried about it. So I've been using the calcium nitrate on it. So since it's got the quick version of nitrogen in there, it's the corn's starting to respond. So I'm hoping to kind of hit it every 3 or 4 days until
you can get it to catch up a little bit.
Until it produces, and hopefully I won't have little tiny ears because it's lacking nitrogen. So I have to admit it's a little disappointing because the corn has looked so good, and then all of a sudden it just stopped growing.
Yeah.
It's like, I've been giving you tons of nitrogen. What the heck? It's like, come on, grow for me, grow. So calcium nitrate, it's going to get calcium nitrate every 3 days for now until we start harvesting.
Okay.
We'll see what happens. So, but that helps. And then with the tomatoes, to get them to ripen, not only do you use the calcium, so either calcium chloride or the calcium nitrate will really, really help. But what we usually do at this point in the season, if the tomatoes are starting to ripen up, is I'll stop fertilizing them. So no more fertilizer for the tomatoes. So they've already set a whole bunch of fruit, and so we want that fruit to ripen. And if you continue to feed them too much, they will continue to just grow. And they will grow and grow and grow, and those tomatoes will stay kind of green. And so what we need to do is shut the fertilizer down. So no more fertilizer for the tomatoes. In fact, if you're really setting a lot of fruit here in the next 2 or 3 weeks, they're probably never going to ripen up anyway. And so we shut the fertilizer off about the 1st or 2nd week of August. So no more fertilizer at that point, except the calcium. make sure you keep doing the calcium. So that will really help. So no more fertilizer, and then we'll actually start to water a little bit less. And so by watering less, it starts to stress the plants a little bit in between waterings. So we'll water very heavily so they get the water that they need, but then I'll wait 3 or 4 or 5 or even 6 days in between waterings just to watch the plants. And if they kind of start to wilt down a little bit during the day, then we know they're kind of stressing for water just a little bit. And then we'll water them after that. And what it does is it really kicks the plant into I need to produce mode, because the weather's starting to change. I mean, you can tell the daylight hours are getting shorter. So the plants are recognizing that the daylight hours are getting shorter. And so then if there's less water for them, all of a sudden they go, oh, fall's coming.
Yeah.
I need to ripen up, because if I don't ripen up some fruit, then that's how I reproduce myself, is with those with the seed from the fruit. And so the plants start to go into
production mode.
Production. Well, not even just production mode, but like ripening mode,
right?
Because they know they've got to get some ripe fruit before the weather really changes, and then it freezes and kills the plants. And so by cutting back the water and cutting off the fertilizer, that really helps push those plants into ripening mode. And then what we'll do as the nighttime temperatures really start to cool down, and that's not right now. It's still, the nighttime temperatures are great right now, but by like Labor Day, it's starting to get much, much cooler at night. So when you get up in the morning for your 5-mile run,
you can start to feel it.
You can tell that it's like, ooh, it's like really kind of chilly this morning. It's like, I got to put a jacket on to get started. The plants will recognize that also, and it really slows their metabolism down, and so they don't ripen up as much. And so whatever we can do to generate and retain heat at night is really, really helpful to get those tomatoes to ripen up. So last year, one thing that we did was we had weed barrier down. So we had the black fabric down between our tomatoes, and that really generates a lot of heat, not just for the root system, but then it retains the heat at night, especially when it starts to cool down. And then in September, we threw a little bit of frost cloth over the plants, not to protect them from freezing, but to help retain the heat at night.
Yeah.
And so during the day, we take the frost cloth off. I mean, you can leave it on. It's thin enough that it allows all the light to go through. But at night, it will trap that heat so it can't escape as fast. And so then your plants stay warmer all night. Oh. And then as your plants stay warmer longer, that fruit continues to ripen. Yeah.
Okay.
And so between those really 4 things, you can really increase your harvest. So last year, come the first week of October, there were tons of people coming in the store going, oh, I got lots of green tomatoes. How do I get these to ripen up? And we had basically picked every tomato off of our plants to the point where like there was nothing left. I mean, there's been years where we've mid-October, it's frozen. We've had to, yank all the plants out, and we just like had tons and tons of tomatoes that just didn't ripen up. Last year, nothing. Like everything we had picked, like everything, bushels.
So
like literally bushels of tomatoes. Yeah,
a little frost cloth over the top of them really makes a difference.
So the 4 tricks that we have found to be super effective. Keep up with the calcium, so make sure they continue to get calcium. Cut back the fertilizer, so no more fertilizer except for the calcium. Cut back your watering so the plants are stressing a little bit in between watering. And then whatever we can do to generate and retain heat longer. So that includes the weed barrier or black plastic down to really heat up the soil, and then frost cloth over the top of the plants to trap and retain that heat that your frost cloth, not your frost cloth, but the weed barrier or the black plastic is retaining or generating. We're going to try and retain that heat through the nighttime and keep those plants warm and toasty. And if we can do that, then the fruit will ripen up a lot faster. So it's going to kick those plants into ripening mode by cutting back the water and cutting back the fertilizer. And then the calcium is actually really going to help ripen those fruit up. And then the extra heat generation. And those are your key factors to get your tomatoes to ripen up. And peppers too. Peppers are kind of the same.
Yeah, because both of them would be kind of the same.
Yeah, peppers are kind of the same way. So you just got to keep your fingers crossed and hope that it stays warm at night, because the peppers really like it to stay like 90 degrees during the day and then 80 degrees at night.
Okay.
That's when the peppers really ripen up. But my peppers are doing really good this year, so I'm pretty happy.
Great.
Happy with that. Not happy with the corn.
Yeah.
But the peppers,
are doing well.
Peppers didn't get planted in the soil where they messed up my garden.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's go out to the phone lines and answer a few questions. We have Curtis joining us on the line from Clarkston. Curtis, welcome to the show.
Good to visit with you this morning. Beautiful morning.
Good morning.
Hello to you and all the listeners. Kind of double reason to call, or this morning calling Gordon. I haven't listened to your show for a couple weeks. The last time I listened is when you announced you was going to his funeral.
Yeah.
Worked him a lot in different church callings. He was Take Young into President, and I served with him and then scouting a lot. The kids love to hear stories about driving on the Autobahn in Germany when I was in the military.
Yep, that is a fun experience.
130 miles an hour.
Yep, that is a fun experience.
It was 130 miles an hour. I was legal. but anyway, I used to. I always thought, if Gordon hasn't called in, maybe I should. You got to have somebody on the west side of the Bear River call in.
Absolutely, there we go. Absolutely, Curtis. You are welcome to try. I'm going to say try and fill that role.
Yeah.
I won't try. No, I can't. But anyway, question. Start out with difference between Bigfoot and Kangaroots.
There you go. Good. Really great question. Okay, so the Kangaroots and the microbrew from Fox Farm has a wide variety of different mycorrhiza and beneficial microbes and microorganisms in there to build your soil back up. And so it puts all this good biology back into your soil, and then the mycorrhiza colonize your plant and create a symbiotic relationship with them to go out and find water and find nutrient for the plant. So it basically creates, the mycorrhiza is a very fine microscopic organism that mimics roots. And what it does is it finds that water, it finds that nutrient, brings it to its host. The host digests the water and the nutrient, and then it gives it back to the mycorrhiza. So the host actually feeds the mycorrhiza as the mycorrhiza brings it all the water and nutrient that the plant needs. And so they work together, and the mycorrhiza will fight tooth and nail to keep its host alive, because if its host dies, then it loses its source of water and nutrient. It dies as well too. So they really, really work together, the two plants, or the plant and this organism. They work together to make this relationship work. The Bigfoot is a more pure form of mycorrhiza, and it has more viability to it. And so what's interesting about Bigfoot is the original owner of Bigfoot was the scientist who actually found the correlation between plants and mycorrhiza. So he actually discovered it, even though it's been around for millions of years. And so they have their own production facility, and they are kicking out the best, most pure, most viable, most live mycorrhiza that we've been able to find. And so it just works better. We still use the Kangaroots a lot because it has the bacteria and it has a wider range of mycorrhiza in it. But the Bigfoot actually has higher concentrations and more viable spores than anyone else that we've found. So that's the complicated version. So
okay, yeah, that's I've used Kangaroos a lot, and I see the benefit of it.
Oh, we love it.
And this fall, I'm going to transplant some flowering almonds and lilacs, and so the Kangaroots has worked good. Yep. Maybe I'll try the Bigfoot this go around.
Yep. I'll actually mix the two together sometimes because of the extra beneficial bacteria in the Kangaroots and the microbrew, and it just kind of complements the Bigfoot. But the Bigfoot just is more efficient at colonizing your plants because of the high concentration of mycorrhiza that are in there. Plus, it has like biochar, and it has kelp, and it has worm castings, and it has humate in it. So it's got a lot of other things. The Kangaroots doesn't have the biochar in it, and the biochar creates an environment for them to just like thrive in. So there are some minor differences there as well too.
Okay, that's good. I have a better part of a quart of the Bigfoot, so maybe I'll get the Kangaroots and try that mixture. See.
Yeah. Yep. There we go.
Yeah, that's good.
Right.
One other, I'll throw this out. I know it's not a question we can answer. It's more discussion. Deer and are ever going battle?
Yes.
I just wonder, the state and everybody puts so much money into the deer, and I think they're overpopulated. Some people will argue with me on that, but they've never been in the numbers in our towns. In the lower valley. I've always, when I was growing up, I'm 72, and they were always up in the mountains. I asked my dad, was there ever deer in town when he was growing up? And he says, never.
No.
And they started coming down the falls for the apple. And you know how it is now. I hear you talk about, you have the same problem. I have two that live across the street. They make their nightly prowl through the garden. And anyway, I just wish there's something we could do.
Yeah, they're now they're urban deer now. They're not the native ones, and they are living and breeding and growing up and never leaving. Like the herd that I've got in my neighborhood, they've never lived in the mountains.
Yeah,
they just live down here. Yeah, and you're right. When I was growing up, we would rarely have deer down, except for when we have like really heavy, hard snow winters, just really difficult winters. And then all of a sudden they became acclimated here, and now they're eating things that they shouldn't be eating, and they're not as healthy because their diet's not right. And you can tell that there's just something that's kind of off. There are some programs that the Division of Natural Resources has, and have implemented in some areas. And it's difficult and it's tricky, because there's a lot of people that love having the deer running through the neighborhoods, and there's just as many people that want them gone. And so you've really got to strike a balance between, letting the deer do their thing, but they're just not really healthy in this environment, and they are consuming things that they shouldn't be consuming, and it's detrimental to their health as well too. So it is a absolutely tricky question that you've asked, Curtis. I wish there was an easy answer for it. So
I call them welfare deer.
Well, it's a free buffet at Anderson's every night. So it's like we had 7 deer in my yard last night, 3 doe and 4 babies.
Oh,
yeah, 4 babies. So yeah, and it's really rough when you drive home and you see a dead baby on the side of the road too. It's heartbreaking, and they're just in parts of town, not just in Logan, but all over the valley, that they really shouldn't be running around in. But
well, and then the highway, all the other friend that got killed trying to avoid deer and rolled the car, and anyway, it's a sad deal. So so it's I kind of feel like there needs to be more control than there is.
But, there's a lot of costs. Yeah, there's a lot of costs involved, and it's not just plant material either. It's vehicles and it's people, and some of those costs are not worth paying.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go. There's probably other callers, and it's good to visit with you guys and enjoy this nice summer day.
Yep, so, you too. Thanks for calling, Curtis.
All sunshine, no rain makes a desert.
Yeah, yes, it does. Thanks for calling this morning, Curtis.
You bet.
All right,
enjoyed visiting.
That'll freeze up the phone lines at 435-753-5868. That's 753-KVNU. We've got Lori hanging on the line. We'll be right back following this brief news break and take more of your calls. You're on the Garden Guide here on KVNU. I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU news headlines. Well, the Box Elder School District is proposing a 37% property tax increase just months after a $220 million bond to build new schools was overwhelmingly rejected by voters. Now, the proposed tax increase would cost the owner of a typical home an extra $343 per year. School District Superintendent Steve Carlson said the money is desperately needed to build a new elementary school, add on to 2 high schools, and give a 2% pay raise to employees. Carlson defended the decision, saying the district needs to be competitive and attract and retain teachers. However, some taxpayers are pushing back. Residents Jamie Poppleton and Christy Bocut have both opposed the plan, saying that it's a huge increase that residents can't afford, especially after voting against the bond. Now, the Box Elder School Board is set to make a final decision with a public hearing that's scheduled for August 13th in Brigham City. And a man has been arrested and charged with attempted child kidnapping after police say he tried to take a woman's baby from a stroller on a tracks platform. Benjamin Dillman, a 56-year-old who is homeless, was arrested on Tuesday and charged Friday with attempted child kidnapping, a first-degree felony. Now, according to charging documents, Dillman approached a woman and her child at the Meadowbrook track station just after 9:30 Tuesday morning. Now, he told the woman that the baby she had was his and for her to give it to him. Now, a bystander intervened, pushing Dillman away from the woman and child. The incident was reportedly captured on a UTA surveillance camera. Now, Dillman was later arrested after getting off the train at a different station. We're going to continue to see clear skies with no threat of any moisture coming through the next several days, as daytime temperatures are going to stay right around the low 90s, overnight temperatures around the mid-50s. Will Feelright for KVNU News.
Good morning. This is Chris Lewis. Walk-off madness, one of the best nights in baseball all season long. Let's start in Miami, where they walk it off against the Yankees.
Ramirez with a little dribbler right in front of the plate. Catcher Wells picks it up. X comes in and scores from third. In the craziest game of the year, it's a swinging bunt from the former Yankee prospect, Agustin Ramirez, to walk it off. Speed demon X comes in from third. This game is over, and this team is electric.
940 WINZ. A lower scoring walk-off between the Red Sox and Astros.
The pitch to Anthony. Swinging a high fly into center field. It is way back, and it's going to win the game. It's over McCormick's head. Abreu scores. Roman Anthony's first walk-off hit gives the Red Sox a 2-1 win in 10.
WEEI 93.7 FM. It was a big series between the Mariners and Rangers. Seattle gets the dub.
The stretch and the pitch to JP. Swinging a drive deep to right field. Going and going. Goodbye, baseball. Walk it off. J.P. Crawford with a walk-off 2-run home run. And the Mariners win it 4-3 over the Rangers here in the bottom of the ninth inning.
Seattle Sports, 7:10 a.m. And even the wildest one of the night came in Colorado.
0-1 pitch. And hit deep to left. Is it enough? Going back, Pham, and gone! It's gone! You've got to be kidding me! Brendan Doyle with a 2-run home run. Rockies have come all the way back to win it, 17-16. Crowd is going crazy.
850 KOA.
Get your cooling fixed, call Gary Riggs. Get your AC fixed, call Gary Riggs. If you're having cooling problems, we're here to get them fixed. Just pick up the phone and call Gary Riggs. 435-512-6633. We'll come to you. Our service fee is low, just $25. We repair all brands and have certified installers. Get your cooling fixed, call Gary Riggs. Get your AC fixed, call Gary Riggs.
Taking the guesswork out of gardening. It's the Garden Guide with Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Welcome back to the Garden Guide here on KVNU. Right now sitting at a nice 63 degrees on another sunny, beautiful Saturday morning in northern Utah. Phone lines are open to take your calls at 435-753-KVNU. That's 753-5868. We'll feel right along with Mark Anderson of Anderson Seed and Garden. Got a lot to talk about, Mark, but before we do, let's just go right back out to the phone.
Lori's been so patiently waiting. We better jump on that first.
Appreciate that, Lori. Thank you so much for holding. Go ahead. You're on the Garden Guide.
I have a few questions, and they're all about bugs.
That works.
I've had a lot of problems with spider mites, aphids, and a few tobacco budworms, but I want to know what is the best thing to kill all of those things. Do I have to use a different product for each one, or can I use the same product for all of them?
You can use the same product for all of them. There are quite a few options. It's interesting that you mentioned the mites and the aphids together, because I had somebody brought a sample in yesterday, and I can't remember what plant it was, but they're just like, oh, what's wrong with my plant? It's like it's growing, but it's not looking healthy. And I took a piece of white paper, and I could tell it had spider mites on it, because it makes the leaves look kind of speckled. And so I took the plant and the white paper, and I tapped it very vigorously on the white paper. And what it does is it knocks the spider mites off onto the white paper, and then you can actually see them, because they're really hard to see, but you can see them running across the page if you look really close. And I thought it just had mites, but then there was these big chubby aphids that fell off as well too. And so it's like, oh, you got spider mites. See right there? See those little teeny tiny dots running around on the piece of paper? And look at these big fat aphids that can't even move. They're so fat.
Got both of them. Oh, yeah. Man.
And so she had both. And maybe she had budworms as well too. But it was interesting because we were able to identify those, and she could actually see them on the paper. So she's like, oh, yeah, no, I see those. So best options, if you want to go with an organic option, I would do spinosad soap, because the spinosad soap will work on the aphids and the spider mites, and it works great on the tobacco budworms. So that would be an organic option. The other organic option would be like Fertilome's Triple Action. And the Triple Action does a really pretty good job as well too. It has pyrethrum and neem oil in there, and it does a fairly effective job on mites and aphids and budworms. I really like the Bug Blaster, the new version, the Lambda. That's great for spider mites, and it's super effective on aphids and budworms as well too. And so is 7. So that gives you 4 really good options that are general purpose enough that will work on just about any insect that's out there. The key with the mites and the budworms especially is to just be consistent. Spray weekly for 2 or 3 weeks, because they will just reproduce, and you'll kill off whole generations of them, and then like a week later they'll be right back. And so just be really consistent for at least 2 to 3 weeks, and spray weekly.
Okay. So what was the ingredient in Bug Blasters that you said?
The new Bug Blaster is called Lambda Cylohethrin. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's called Bug Blaster Lambda.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, they've just decimated my verbena.
Yeah. Understandable.
Terrible.
Yeah. I had multiple samples of spider mites in yesterday on beans. So bush beans are getting hammered with the spider mites too.
Huh. Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Anytime, Lori. Thanks for calling.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Yep.
435-753-KVNU is the phone number. If you have a question, comment for Mark, or 435-753-5868, whichever is easiest for you to remember. Mark, before we get back into talking about some of the other things in gardens and lawns, you mentioned earlier to start off the show that the cash sale started off early.
Yep, cash sale. So usually we start the cash sale second week of August, and this year we just said, oh, what the heck, let's go for it. So right now, all of our remaining trees and flowering trees and fruit trees and shrubs and evergreens, they're all 25% off. So really great prices for this time of year on all of our nursery stock. But if you pay with cash, you get an extra 10% off on those plants. So if you're thinking about adding a new shrub to your landscape, or you need a couple new trees to get a little bit more shade, or you've got a tree that fell down in the windstorm this week, it's like somebody sent me messages yesterday and they're just like, our neighbors had 3 trees blow down in that windstorm this week. One ended up in our yard and 2 ended up in their yard. And I need a couple trees to replace the ones that, got trashed. Yeah. So great time to plant some trees as well, too. 25% off all of our nursery stock, plus an extra 10 if you pay with cash. So you get extra 10% off. So that would make it 35% off. So if you've got a tree that would be $100 to begin with, instead of getting it for $75 with the 25% off, you would get it for $65 with the 35% off if you pay with cash. So, on a $100 purchase, it'll save you $10.
Yeah. Excellent. All right. So the cash sale going on this weekend, starting this weekend. And so be able to save an extra 10%. Excellent deal.
Yeah.
Now, we were talking earlier about gardens and tomatoes, but a lot of us getting questions on watering right now, especially with it being so dry. We were looking at July, and for the entire month, we recorded just 200 of an inch. 200. So
which is not very much.
No. It's basically like, literally if you spit on the ground, that's about how much 200ths of an inch.
Yeah. And normally, and this year we actually had a lot of monsoonal moisture come through too. It just didn't materialize as rain, and so we could have a fairly wet August if that monsoonal moisture continues. It's probably about time.
We sure would love it. Yeah, and if it doesn't, of course, that's leaving a lot of us with some lawn stress, garden stress. You mentioned earlier that it's not necessarily a bad thing to stress out your tomatoes, but what are some of the other signs that you can look for if your fruit trees, your corn is getting a little bit overstressed?
Yeah. So what's interesting is most of your vegetables will tell you when they're thirsty. So if during the day, say it's a 90-degree day, like today's going to be like close to 90, on a 90-degree day, those plants can lose more moisture through the foliage than they can pick up through the root system. And so they'll kind of wilt just a little bit. And you'll see that like on your cucumbers sometimes will wilt, or your tomatoes will sometimes kind of wilt. And the corn, you'll see the leaves of the corn kind of curl up, and it goes a little grayer color instead of green. But then as soon as the sun goes down, if those plants just kind of like almost instantly perk right back up, it's kind of like the same on your lawn. Like during the day on the lawn, if you walk through the lawn, you'll see footprints because the grass doesn't recover as fast. But then in the evening, you go out and you walk in the same spot and the grass just like springs back really fast. Yeah, it's kind of like that. And so your plants will tell you when they're really thirsty. And it's when they don't respond quickly after the sun goes down. It's when you don't see them respond and like recover from the heat. That's when you absolutely need to water them because they're stressing a little bit too much. So my cucumbers were really stressing. And again, they're in that same soil where the corn is. And so they're not performing quite the way I would like them to, even though we fertilized, multiple times on them. They're just not responding the way they should. I've had to use soil penetrants. I've had to use Easy Wet multiple times to get the water to penetrate down into the soil and then for it to hold it. So it seemed like every 2 days my cucumbers were just like stressing, and I'm just going, God, I usually go like 4. It's like I can go 4 days between waterings, but the soil just was not absorbing and holding the moisture. And so I've had to really focus on trying to get that soil to hold the moisture longer because the cucumbers just aren't doing what they're supposed to. I mean, it's the 1st of August. I don't even have cucumbers coming out right now, which is very, very unusual. They're usually like 40 days and the cucumbers are just like going nuts. So I know it's because of the soil disruption that we had in my garden last year. I'm 100% certain.
Now, we've talked in the past about hydrotane and being so effective on your lawn. If someone has not ever used that product, here we are in the 1st of August, is it something that you could still treat your lawn with some hydrotane? You treat some of your garden plants with hydrotane?
Oh, absolutely.
And be able to carry it into the fall months?
Absolutely, because it will help your soil absorb and retain moisture all the way through September and probably even into the latter part of October. It'll last about 90 days. And so if you're struggling to get water to penetrate into your soil in your vegetable garden or in your flower beds or in your turf, it will help so that your water will be absorbed into the soil instead of evaporate off instantly, since it has been hot and dry and our humidity's been like really, really low. It will absorb that water down into the soil, and then it will hold it there longer so your plants can get it and utilize it. And so we have actually used the hydrotane on the flower beds on Center Street because they just have been struggling. It's like it's been unusual this year. Like we've noticed, like the hanging baskets just won't hold moisture, and the flower beds are not holding the moisture as well. And it's just because it's dry. It's just really, really dry.
Dry.
And so even though they're getting the same amount of water that they have received years past, they're not quite. They're not responding the same way because the air's so dry, it's pulling the moisture out of the soil. So the hydrotane has really, really helped with that. And we found that on our turf, we're watering less than we normally do because the hydrotane's doing such a great job.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really keeping the lawns looking good right now.
All right. 435-753 KVNU. That's 435-753-5868 if you have a question or comment for Mark. Now, hydrotane, you could definitely put it on now and be able to get you through the rest of the summer into the fall.
Absolutely.
And then to Curtis's point, if you're wanting to, or you're putting in new plants right now, the mycorrhiza, kangaroo, Bigfoot, both of those can really, really help you, because right now, a great time to be able to plant because the soil temperatures are just perfect.
Yep. So this weekend, our peas are completely done. They've been done for a couple of weeks. And so I've been waiting until the 1st of August. We're going to till that area up where those peas were. And then we're going to plant some more peas so that they can come on in late September, early October. And then we'll have another crop of peas this year because the peas were actually really good. Yeah, they were actually really good this fall. And so we're hoping to do that again. So this is the time of year where you can start recycling some of that soil in your garden where you've finished picking things. So like our lettuce and our spinach and our peas are pretty much all gone. My kohlrabi is almost all gone. We've eaten almost all of it. So all these cold crops are finishing up. We actually have enough time if you wanted to plant some more bush beans or some more really short season corn. You could probably get those harvested the first part of October if we don't have a hard frost end of September.
In September.
We're kind of pushing it. Usually around the 20th, 25th of July, you got to get those planted. But some of the crops that can handle cooler temperatures would be beets, chard, carrots. 75 days. They'll produce in 75 days, and they don't mind the cooler temperatures of October. And so those would handle that no problem. But all your cold crops can be planted again so that they'll be coming on in September and October when the temperatures are much cooler. So great time to plant Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, lettuce, spinach, chard, kale, peas. Really great time to plant those and recycle some of this unused portion of your garden that maybe you've harvested everything out of. So like I said, this weekend, peas are getting tilled right back into the garden. They're all dried up now, so I'll probably go through with a weed whacker or a trimmer and just kind of cut them down and kind of shred them a little bit so that they incorporate better into the garden. But I will till that all in. And then we're gonna plant more peas this weekend. So that is the plan.
Now, if someone was not wanting to plant more vegetables, say for example they pull up their peas and they're done, and they're just like, don't want to do anything else. Would it be best to maybe just throw out a ground cover?
A cover crop, yes. I was thinking the same thing. So first part of August is actually a really great time, especially if we get some rainstorms coming through, to put a cover crop out. Because if you get the cover crop out and you get a couple rainstorms, a couple nice wet days, all of a sudden that cover crop is covering every square inch of the soil, and then it's keeping the weeds down. And then this fall, when it's time to till your garden, you just incorporate it right back into your garden. It puts organic matter, it puts nutrient, and it breaks up the soil, and it breaks up the clay. These cover crops really do a great job at rejuvenating your soil, and they can do it in a very short amount of time. So we're talking winter wheat, clover works great, buckwheat's really good. We sell quite a bit of hairy vetch, so the vetch would be excellent. And a lot of our customers will grow, peas, because they put so much nitrogen back into the soil. So you could do peas. You might not get a crop if you plant it later, but you take that green material
and then just till it into your garden.
Till it right back into the garden, and it is great for your soil. Yeah, it's really, really good for your soil to improve. And there's some spots in our garden that we need to improve now, because that soil that they put back is not the same as the rest of my garden. Just is not.
I'm glad to see that you have to deal with some of the problems the rest of us deal with.
And it takes so many years to get the soil, up to where you want it. And then they come and trench it and dig it all out. And it's like, oh yeah, we'll put the good stuff back. We put it over here. It's like, I think that went in the bottom of the trench, so.
Yeah. You talk about having rocks in your garden, and I think, you know what? I know exactly what you're talking about.
Honestly, it's like for decades we have had minimal rocks in the garden, and now they're everywhere. They're everywhere. It's kind of frustrating. But, oh well.
We all feel your pain, Mark.
Yeah. We'll just have to dig them all out again.
yeah. It's an ongoing battle.
This fall, we're going to get lots of organic matter, and I am really highly tempted to do a cover crop over the entire garden.
Now, for folks that are maybe a little concerned, they say, well, wait a minute. If I put clover all over, if I use another ground cover over all of my garden, is that just going to incorporate weeds that I have to deal with?
Then I'm going to have to deal with that next year. Most of it's going to germinate this year and come up. There's a chance you might get 5% or less that would come up next year, but you can just hoe those out or till them up or whatever. It's letting the buckwheat grow to the point where it goes to seed. If it flowers and then it goes to seed, then you will have seed all over the place for next year doing the same thing. So just make sure whatever you plant, you don't let it go to seed.
Okay.
So just cut it down if it looks like it's going to start to flower. Just trim it down, and it won't go to seed that way. And then you will not have the same problem, with it coming back like crazy again the next year. You're going to have a little bit, but it's just so minimal. It's not worth worrying about.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of like saying, well, I had 500 purslane last year, so you're going to have 5,000 the next year because they just drop so much seed. Let's prevent the ground covers or the cover crops from going to seed, and then you just don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be good.
All right. Well, we've only got just a couple minutes left, and a quick reminder that the cash sale is on early this year, and it's going on now.
Yep, we started yesterday, so to be honest, this is the time to come in because everybody gets excited about the cash sale. They come in, they start buying the best trees. They buy the best roses. They buy the best shrubs. And the longer you wait, the less likely you're going to find the really good stuff. So somebody came in yesterday and they were like, do you have any ginkgo trees left? And I was like, let's go see. I'm not sure. And there were some really nice ginkgos left. And that's when I just kind of look at the calendar and go, it's the 1st of August. Yeah. Why are these still here? These are such nice trees. They should be planted at someone's house. And then I look over in the corner and there's 15 beech trees, which we usually can't even keep in stock because they sell so fast. And it's like, why are those beeches still here?
Yeah.
So my favorite tree of all time has got to be the beech. Yeah. It's like just just gorgeous. So we've got some tricolor beach. We've got some purple fountains. We've got some columnar beach. And I'm just like going, why are those here? Those should have sold like a long time ago. Yeah. So take advantage of the cash sale. We've got some great nursery stock. And the plants look really good. Like, they don't look stressed or sad or beat up. I mean, we always have a couple hiding somewhere, but they look really, really good. And 25% off. But if you pay with cash, you get an extra 10% off of the 25. So you get 35% off if you're going to go grab some cash from the bank and come down and see us.
Okay. All right. So that'll started yesterday.
Yep.
Continuing through the weekend and into next week.
And if you are planting, just like you said, Will, Bigfoot, root stimulator. So if we can do Bigfoot and Kangaroots together, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's just huge. Your plants will take off like crazy.
Well, and after we took Curtis's call, you and I were having a debate off air. If someone was looking at saying kangaroo, Bigfoot, which one do you go with? Yeah. The one advantage that the Bigfoot does have is that it has a longer shelf life.
It does.
And so you do save a little bit of money if you're like me and you like to have that on hand supply available. It will last longer.
Yeah, longer shelf life, and you use a smaller amount to get the same job done. And so you're only using a teaspoon per gallon instead of 2 teaspoons per gallon. So for the same volume, it goes twice as far.
Yeah,
it goes twice as far.
Well, and I'll tell you, I just I keep watching this apricot tree and our tomatoes. I've never had tomato plants so big, and I mentioned last week, we've harvested peppers for the first time ever in our garden.
Yeah.
And I attribute it to Bigfoot.
And you're like, yes. Yeah. And
never been able to get them to grow.
And the president of Bigfoot is going to come down for the Pumpkin Festival.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so they should have a booth at the Pumpkin Festival. We got our fingers crossed that they'll be here. And my giant pumpkins are now they're almost
about 3 feet.
They're almost 3 feet across. Yeah, they are just all of a sudden they have taken off.
Excellent.
Yeah, they have taken off.
Well, thanks so much for